All right, let me fix my shirt. I just got out of the shower. I'm coming to you live and fresh and full of all the things, all the emotions, a lot of downloads, and I just need to talk and I need to get this out because um one, like I live alone, so I don't have that many people to talk to. I mean, I talk to my sister and a couple other friends throughout the week and stuff, but I feel like this is more of a collective message that I'm getting because okay, let me just start from the beginning. Welcome to Mystic Manny Jen podcast. I did rebrand. We have new branding, we have a new name. We're no longer No Wedding Mystic because we're shifting into all the other things. Like, man, my eyes are like real red from the shower. Um, but we're shifting from the weddings because we're shifting into a new role now. I'm shifting into my truth. And so I'm doing this episode today because I really just need to speak my mind on this. And I feel like we're all kind of relating to each other on some level of this. Like, I don't know if people are dealing with relationship issues or work issues or money issues or family issues, whatever it is. There's a heaviness in the air right now. We need to talk about it because this is how we get through it, get past it, release it, and all that kind of stuff. So even me right now talking this out is going to help me tremendously with my healing journey as well, because I'm doing all the other work. I'm journaling. I'm doing the tools that I know how to do to keep me grounded and stuff. And we're going to get into this in this episode, but essentially this episode is going to be more about how do you show up for yourself when no one else is watching and when no one else gives you external validation. How do you show up? How do you see yourself? What kind of self-talk are you doing to yourself when there's not another party involved? So in work, or in business, this can relate to if a client doesn't book you, what are you thinking in those moments? If you get that email, we're going in another direction, sorry, to take your time and that kind of stuff. Are you immediately going into fight or flight and, messaging them back, trying to get it? Like, are you coming out of it that way? Or are you releasing it? Okay, well, they found something else, move on with my life, that kind of thing, detaching, which we're going to get into today as well. So I want us to really think about this. Like, how do we show up for ourselves? Not for anyone else. How do we show up for ourselves if no one else is there to coach you, support you, cheer you on, give you the best words, give you the compliments, tell you what you want to hear? What thoughts are you thinking about yourself? Because I feel like a lot of us are dealing with this right now, where we're having to kind of reassess things. We're taking a hard look at ourselves. We are seeing where we can shift in our life, how we can be better. And for me, I'm going to get into my personal story. And y'all are about to learn a lot about me because I'm now in such a comfortable place to share my story. Like, I've talked about my divorce. I've opened up about that. And I've opened up about like family trauma and healing and that kind of stuff. I can probably dig into that more. That's probably going to take a little bit of time to kind of ease into. But I don't have a problem telling you guys like what it is and what's going on and what's real, because this is the real shit. And so currently, I manifested my dream man, and literally he has all the qualities that I could ever want in a significant other. And when we met, it was magnetic. It was like soul connection. And it was, this really intense thing that I have not felt with anyone. And that kind of scared me, but it also was like, wow, this can be here. And there can be like a masculine in his true, nature that wants to provide and give me a good life and wants to take care of me. And literally, like, we align on everything. And we have a similar personality. I've talked about him before on the podcast and some earlier episodes. So you'll see how like lovey-dovey and like I was in my field, and that's what happens when you meet someone and it's electric and you guys really vibe with each other. And that's great. But then the reality of like I have to move back to Florida. I'm going back to Florida. He has to stay in Atlanta for his job, and us coming to terms with that, like, okay, we're gonna do this. And originally it was me saying, okay, well, my lease is up in August. So I was already telling everyone, hey, I'm going to move back to Atlanta. I want to be with him and I'm going to sacrifice everything. And then it was like, nope. This is another test because I moved to Florida for a reason. I was called here for a reason. And I'm honestly very happy here right now. Like, I'm like my life. I like my routine. I like just having my own space. Like, this to me has been feeling really good and nourishing for me. I am getting all my ducks in my row with my businesses. I'm feeling in flow. I get the time to go to the beach. This is like my ideal life. And then I don't get my ideal boyfriend with me because he has to stay in Atlanta. And so that kind of sucks. But we worked through it and we came to a point where it was like, okay, we're just going to keep navigating it this way for the next few months, see how it works. And now we're at a point where we both, like, already have said we love each other, like to each other and stuff. So we say that, and you could think what you want, it's been 3 months, but like when you really feel someone at that deep level, and I think we have kind of a soul connection because just meeting him was like I felt like I knew him and he felt like he knew me. And I know people say that, but like when you really experience that shit is real. Like, I think I have a little thing there. So that is real, and I didn't never realize that until then. So like now I'm saying stuff like that. But anyway, we get to this point and we're navigating this life of like me, coming back to Atlanta. And that was the whole thing, is like I have to come back to Atlanta for things anyway, and I get to see him. It'll make our time intentional. We can really plan for things and stuff and really like cultivate this really solid foundation we have. And so it's been interesting because my last trip to Atlanta, I went back, I shot a wedding. We didn't really get to spend too much time together because he was getting sick and I was just letting him kind of heal, and I didn't want to catch sick either. So I was just like, it was such a short trip. I was like, well, I'm coming back after in a couple days, so it's okay. So now I'm supposed to be going back on in 2 days. And this week, like I'm so glad that I use astrology and that I pay attention to what's going on in the planets, and that I know my boyfriend and I know I can study where things are going on in his chart and I can understand it, because this week is very different. And a lot of different, I researched the hell out of this stuff. I listened to different astrologers, different podcasts, I'm like always consuming this stuff because I love learning about it. I love learning the patterns. I love learning about the planets. I love how to like learn how to work with this energy, because I feel like this is like a crack to the code of life and stuff. So I'm just like, doing my thing, listening to my podcast, doing all of that, and just highly aware that this week is kind of rocky in the sense that like it's the last week of Cancer season, which Cancer is all about emotions and all the things like that. So a lot of heaviness with that, which like you could be more to yourself these days, or want to be more to yourself if you're actually getting that alone time. I don't know. A lot of us don't even get that. So that's something to consider. And honestly, that makes people cranky because I experienced that myself. So I knew that this week is going to be a little different. And then, like, I want to say a few days after I got back from Atlanta, and I'm just sitting here thinking, like, everything's normal. And, like, both of us are like, get back into our routines and get back into the flow of things. And he's getting his structure down. And mind you, he's now left a relationship of like 4.5 years, I think, and not the best relationship, kind of more toxic one. And in the sense of just like, it didn't it didn't support him in the way that he needed. And the thing about him, and again, I'm so glad that I understand human design and I researched that and I know this about him because I can understand his energy. Like he has limited energy. And once he's depleted, he's just like tapped out. That's it. And so I honestly feel like he's still just kind of like coming down from the fight or flight of that whole relationship. And, he meets me and I'm just like this whirlwind of a person and I'm a lot of energy. Like this whole thing about me being a manifestor generator, this is a lot of energy that I have. I can do a lot of different things at the same time. Like today, I worked for maybe 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours, and the amount of things that I got done and in different sections of my different businesses was amazing. I was in such a flow. I was like, boom, 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 getting emails done, editing videos, then posting my podcast, coming up with whole new branding for my podcast, coming up with branding for my event coming up in Atlanta, the sound healing. I did all of that in such a short time. And the thing is with being a mani-gen, when you're lit up, you can just freaking go. You're like the bunny rabbit, like zoom, zoom, zoom. I'm getting everything. And I was such in flow and I've been in flow. And part of that is also I'm not having the distraction of like talking to my boyfriend all the time because he's expressed that he needs time for himself. And I love that he spoke up and I love that he was just like, hey, I'm not going to be as communicative this week. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm feeling into a lot of things. And then I just had this huge epiphany. It's like he's going through his journey and awakening and the feelings and all the stuff coming up. And we all are going through this on some energetic level. It could be something small, it could be something like life-changing, but all of us are just dealing with these new shifts of just like what we're wanting to do and actually be and really embodying that and not like putting it off anymore. Because I can give you my personal thing is like, I think it was maybe a year to maybe a year and a half ago is when I just really started getting called to open up like education containers and start coaching. And I need to help people. And I just kept going with the flow of, keep booking weddings for the team, which I'm not booking for me as much. I'm not really even taking any weddings like for next year. I've already put it out there that like I'm not taking any. So I have to really commit to that. And that's really hard. And I want to come back to like when you are shifting to this new version of yourself, you do lose the old version of yourself. And that can be really challenging. That can be really hard to navigate. You don't know what's going to happen. And it's literally like getting to like the edge of a cliff. And it's like the moment that you got to jump. And then how we want to just like cling to it and be like, no, we're not going. I'm just going to stick to what I'm doing. But the universe will come behind you and it will push you. And then you'll be like, holy shit, I'm doing it. And I'm like in the air and it's working. And I'm not like dying right now. I'm good. And like, you learn to come down with the calm. So my whole experience this week, navigating, not really talking to my boyfriend, giving him the space to heal, giving him what he needs for his growth, not trying to make him come to my timeline to be like, because the one thing he does say a lot is like he feels bad that he can't match my energy. Like I'll just call him and I'll be like, oh, I ran into this person and I did this and I did that and then I got this done. And I'm like, not even as a way to just like brag about it, but just I'm so excited about the connections I'm making and the lives that are getting changed and how many people get impacted. And I just want to share it with him. And he'll kind of like, he's very supportive. Like I have never had this level of support of someone that just truly sees you in your light and sees who you are. And I'm going to maybe tear up because really does. Like, I've never had a man um really really see me like he does. And it's a beautiful thing to be seen like that. But now back to my main topic of how do we show up for ourselves when you're not getting that? Because there's going to be times where you don't get that support from the person you need. And do you fall? Do you break? Do you completely destroy everything you're building because you're not getting that? Or do you tap into something bigger? Do you tap into yourself and understand that we have the capability and we have the ability to control our mindset, to support ourselves and hold ourselves in such a way where it's like, I don't I'm not sitting here waiting for him to call me and tell me that I'm an amazing person. I know I'm an amazing person. I know how many people's lives I affect. I know that I am a light for so many people in my life. Like, I know that just through people talking to me and having an experience with me for a few minutes, their lives get freaking changed because they start believing in themselves. And that's a powerful thing that I have. And I'm just really getting in tune with that. I'm really understanding the impact of this because more and more stories keep happening where, like, someone will come to me after some time and they'll say, "Oh my God, you don't realize like that conversation with you just completely catapulted me and I'm ready for this next level." And they're like changing the whole trajectory of their life by like moving out of the country somewhere because that's been on their mind. And I inspired them to think bigger and go after what they've been wanting. And but that's partly because I did the same thing. I didn't know I was going to move to Florida. I didn't have any plan for it. In my head, at this time last year was around the time that I was probably like getting ready to think about moving. And I was looking for places in Atlanta by my studio because I was like, oh, I could just live by the studio, so I could just work at the studio. And I was like, no, that's not the vibe. I'm not trying to work at the studio. This is more of like my private studio, and I want to rent it out because I'm making the energy of the space to rent out. And no, nothing on my radar for Florida, St. Pete, nothing. And then it was just all of a sudden this like inner voice, like, it's Florida. You're not going anywhere else. You're going to Florida. And then it was like, okay, well, where do I go? And then it was like, well, you love Tampa. And I had been to St. Pete once or twice and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't even know I was moving to St. Pete. Like, I really didn't think. I just drove, I followed the intuition and I ran with it. And honestly, even this morning, I went to the beach and I swear to God, I have some of the best moments in that water where I talk to myself and I say, I'll do like a whole podcast episode just talking something out, and it'll just be such a good release. But I'm sitting there in that water and I'm just floating, and like today there wasn't big waves, so it was pretty calm, and it was just to see all that level of water like all far away from you, and you're just right there and you're engulfed in it, and the waves are just coming to you, and it was like almost like meditative in a sense. And I just felt so full and so nourished and like, man, I'm really getting what I need. And like so grateful I'm getting the life that I want. Like, I get to go out and experience this every day if I wanted. And I don't go to the beach every day, but things are going to change in my new spot, which I'm really excited about. Which is a crazy story in itself too. But I feel like I'm full of all these like crazy dramatic stories, but that's just life, right? So I'm sitting there in the water and I'm having all these thoughts, and I'm just like, wow, like I'm so glad I can take care of myself. I'm so glad I can be here for myself, especially during a week like this when I am feeling more like feelings come up of like, am I really okay alone? Like, I always tell everyone I love being alone, but do I like being alone? And then like really coming back to like, yeah, I enjoy the quiet. I enjoy my energy and to be like not distracted by anyone. It's great. I like it, but I also love people and I love community. And that's why I go to the gym. That's why I connect with people. And that's why I have friends here and I get to go do that. And then I get to come back in my place and do my thing and make my magic, whatever I'm doing. If I'm editing, if I'm doing a podcast, whatever it is. And it's just such an awesome life that I'm really blessed with. And I am so happy that I chose myself, that I didn't stick to something because that's what you're supposed to do, because everyone knows me as a photographer and that's what she does and she's good at that. But I'm also good at some other things. And I'm now trying to help people understand that we can shift, we can move on from our old identities and we can shift into a next level one that really supports us and who we're really trying to be and who we came here to be, essentially. Because if you're like working a job that you know you're not fulfilled at and you feel that in your bones, but you're going because it's a paycheck and you got to pay bills, universe will have you tested, and the universe will be like, keep putting it in the back of your head, like, oh, like something might come up and it might spark something in you. But then is it like, do you actually go for it or do you hold back? And so that's what brings me back to my original topic of just like, how are we supporting ourselves and how are we grounding when there's so many external forces against us and there's so many, we're dealing with other people's energies, other people are going through things, and we can't dictate their journeys. We can't tell them that you need to be where I'm at, that because that's not fair and that's not ever going to be true. And how we just need to come to a place where like we find the tools, we really nurture ourselves to get the life that we want without depending on anyone or anything else. And that's really hard. Like that's pretty hard for people to grasp because we want to cling and we want to stay with what's comfortable. And I'm victim of that too. And I did that with my last relationship, that I knew it wasn't good for me. Everyone told me it wasn't good for me. No one liked him. No one got a good vibe from him. And here I am still trying to like resuscitate it and make it work because I was like, okay, well, this is just what it's supposed to be. And it's like, no, it's not. And then when I met my new current boyfriend and I got to experience that and I got to get with someone that like really understands me and gives me the space I need and lets me just do my thing, but like supports me so much, but is also involved in their own stuff of what they're doing and has a game plan for what he wants. And the whole thing just comes down to like, we all are on our own path. We all are trying to figure things out. But I want you to really sit with yourself and ask yourself that question, like, what do I do if I don't get a client that praises me? Do I lose my shit? What do I do if I get a client that complains? How do I handle that? What do I do if my husband, starts to not want to do date nights and hang out anymore because he's so stressed out about money? How do I navigate these situations? How do I give him what he needs while still honoring myself? And there's so many different dynamics to this. We all have different lives. We all are living so many different lives and going through so many different experiences. But on some energetic level, I feel like we can relate to these emotions and feelings we are having right now. And it's intense, guys. It's intense. And I feel it. And the biggest thing I've been doing every single day this week, while knowing what's happening in the planets, I think Monday was the worst day that they were predicting. It's almost like instead of like a weather forecast, you can get an astro forecast with the planets, and it's like so accurate. But things are now shifting. Things are kind of like leveling out in a sense, and then we're getting into Leo season. And so with that, it brings it to this point where we really need to just sit with ourselves and take a deep breath and figure out like, what are some ways for me to ground myself when things are not working out, when I don't get the response that I want? how do I handle that stress? And that's what I really want today's episode to just, if you take away anything from this, is that you need to find ways to hold space for yourself without coping, without going to drugs, without going to alcohol, without going to the vices that we know we can go to numb. How do we take care of ourselves? How do we nurture our bodies? How do we, if you're just feeling so tired, do you honor that and do you give yourself a nap, or do you feel guilty because you can't do that at work? And we're just hitting this point. We're hitting this point where things are like the veil is being lifted and people are just really becoming more true with themselves. And I like that because even right now, me sharing this story, sharing so many like, personal details about like what I'm going through right now, even just crying on my podcast. I didn't think that was going to happen, but it takes a lot to be vulnerable, but it's needed because people can relate and understand because we're all going through this at some level. So that's why I felt really called to come on here and talk about this today. And I hope that you guys are taking care of yourselves, that you are giving yourselves time, that you're not feeling the pressure from either relationships, figuring everything out right now, money. Like there's so many things going on. I think collectively people are feeling this ick about money and stuff. And it's like we have to calm our nervous systems down because that's the only way for us to ascend and get to a point where we're feeling better about money in general and stuff, which I do have a financial abundance course on my feed or whatever. So if you're into wanting to learn kind of the basic fundamentals about abundance and how to attract more abundance, because I have researched this. I love researching. That's part of my 4-1 Manny Jenny-ness. Manny Jenny is being 4/1. So the 4 side is my networking, and then the 1 side is the investigator. So I'd love to research all the things. And I'm just feeling like that might be a good place to kind of wrap up that part of the podcast. And then I did have a little card deck, and I just kind of wanted to pull a card and see what comes up, or maybe a few cards, and see what I'm feeling for these energies, and just get some guidance on it, because we need to find ways to nurture ourselves, to take care of ourselves and not feel bad about it. Like that's one thing I keep telling, and every so often I'll text my boyfriend and I'm like, this is what you need. And like, I'm so glad that you're honoring your space and your energy and your time, and you're not feeling pressured by me because you need this. And it's like I can be here to support him from the sidelines, and that's all I can do. I can't rush his journey because I want him to be where I'm at. It's not like that. So I usually just like to take some few breaths and then feel into the cards, and then whatever messages that need to come up will come up for the highest good for the collective. So what are we feeling right now? Anything we can learn? What is it? What is it? Feeling like, okay, this one and this one. We have 3 cards. So we have the riddle, we have the warrior, and we have the judge. So I just like to look at the cards first and kind of feel into what I'm seeing. And yeah, okay. I'm going to say what I think it is, and then I'm going to read it from the book too. And this is from the Archetypes Guidebook. This was The Wild Unknown. I love this deck, and it's a new one. So I'm feeling like drawn to talk about the riddle, because I feel like that's almost kind of like the riddle of life. Like, how do we figure it out? How do we figure out everything to work seamlessly? How do we get the flow of everything It's like the trying to weave all your problems and figure out the solutions. And you're just like trying to find every which way to figure out how you attain like balance and just feeling good. And especially in today's world where things are crazy, it's very expensive and everyone's selling something and it's just we're in this world, and we all feel it. So that's what I think riddle means. The judge, I'm feeling like could mean look into it. I can't tell what those two things are, but I feel like that's coming to a place of like surrender and just really, I was telling my friend this today too, because she's going through some things and it's a hard time for her. And this phrase kept coming like the let go, let God, let go, let God. Because that we have to release that control. We have to. And the same thing with me and my boyfriend. I have to release that control of knowing like what's going to happen. Are we going to stay together? Are we going to get married? Are we going to be able to live together if I stay in Florida? How is that going to work? Like release the control so I can just be free and live for now, because all we can really control is now. All we have time and space for is now. Like the future, no one can tell you what's going to happen. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, you can get guidance and clarity through like mediums and psychics of just like different timelines where things can change. And yeah, a lot of that can come true. But like at some point for you specifically, you have to let go of it all. And then the warrior is basically finding the power within to be able to support yourself in the way that you need to. So whatever it is, for instance, like me just really consuming myself in my work and what I'm here to do and getting my business formulation together for my other businesses and getting everything, all my ducks in a row. I've been in more like warrior action of just like I'm getting things done and it feels good and I love that. So overall, I would say like we have to look at our problems and we have to assess everything. And then we have to give ourselves the space to surrender, let things go, let the stuff that's out of our control go. Just give it to God and let God do its thing. And then while we're doing that, we're in this mode of just releasing and letting things go. Then we come back to the judge, which is like, oh no, not the judge, the warrior. Sorry. Come back to the warrior where it's like we have the strength within us. We have that power. We have this infinite power of wisdom and knowledge, and we need to tap into that. We cannot rely on others for that. And that takes us right back to the beginning. So how are you showing up when no one is there? When you don't get that validation, when people are not praising you and telling you you're the best? Really sit with that and think about it. And I want you to take some time and just kind of process what I just talked about. I know it was a lot. And if you are in the Atlanta area, I am coming to town. And also, this is just like a little side note. I was originally trying to plan to do like mini shoots, photo shoot special when I'm in town, because I'm like, oh, it's good to do these shoots because people love it. It's quick and easy. I love to do it. It's quick and easy for me too, and it's a good way for like me to connect with people and just kind of get that live energy. And I love shooting, and I love shooting in my studio, especially in the summer. So I was like, okay, why not? And then this week happens, and I was like, oh man, no one is feeling like taking pictures. Like you couldn't pay me to take pictures right now because I don't feel like I really want to. I feel like this is a more time for me to be like in my zone. So I just had that download. Like as soon as I And the weird thing is, I was like so excited to post about the mini shoots. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good drop. People are gonna like love it and that kind of stuff. And I held that energy with it because I love to do that with my intention when I post. But then after some time, I was just like, oh, I don't know. It's like, it's feeling like this is not the time for photos. And because I took it into my perspective and I was like, oh, I don't want to take any. So, most likely other people don't. So I decided to postpone that. And instead, I'm going to be doing a sound healing with like the crystal bowls and Tibetan bowls. It's a vibrational healing with sound in my studio. That's what I did as my opening ceremony to start my studio a couple months ago. I think back in January, February. I can't remember when we did it last, but it was a really great event. Everyone loved it. It was good vibes. And I'm really feeling that this theme is just release, 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 releasing the old versions of us, releasing the limited beliefs that we tell ourselves, and releasing anything that no longer serves us and letting it go so we can really just step into this next level version of ourselves, because that next level is sitting here waiting. They're like, come on, we're ready. We're ready to be thrown in. Throw us in. We're ready to be like in the game now. Come on. But it's our fear. It's our, that state of just wanting to cling on to what you know. And it's time to shift that. So, should I read the cards? I don't know if okay, maybe I should. Okay, well, I already found one, so we're just gonna do it. Okay, the judge is the critic, the diplomat, the advocate. So it's an incredibly important job. They work every waking hour of every day, helping us discern what's safe, true, and just. When this archetype remains unconscious or it's captivated by fear, wise discernment turns into painful judgment of self. Well, that does kind of go back to what I was the main theme of this podcast. So that's funny because I was perceiving it differently. But let's read on. Ironically, the judge's energy can be the seed of racism, bigotry, and fear-mongering. This is the judge out of balance, building walls, separating from the other. When this same discerning force is made conscious and healed, however, the judge may be found advocating for civil rights causes, standing up for the underdog, providing resources for those in need, and forgiving again and again. Love is the deciding factor. Awakening this archetype is essential for the complex times we are in. Get your judge in order. The world needs it. So that's pretty spot on. Just saying. Yeah. So, yeah. If you understood that, then you see where that went. And then let's go to the riddle. Let's see. Oh, there it was. Okay, the riddle. The puzzle, the question, the mystery. So that's kind of like what I was saying, kind of like all the messiness. When the riddle is present, one must stop searching for the right answer. It cannot be found, and ultimately it is not important. Rather, there must be a shift from the literal to the metaphorical, from logic to mythic. You're thinking too small and literally about the situation. The riddle card appears when the energy is deep and mysterious, like the elusive wisdom in Zen. Phone? Focusing harder won't do it, neither will increased effort. Time, surrender. That's funny. And humor are your only allies. What feels like the most pressing dilemma won't reveal its deeper wisdom for a long time. Eventually, you'll learn a profound lesson from the riddle. For now, get comfortable with the limitations of your intellect and the reality of not knowing it may, in fact, be the only reality there is. Ooh, this is why I love these cards, like, because that's so in line with today's talk. Like, literally, what I've been talking about when it comes to just like trying to figure out like what do we need to do? How do we need to get there? What like and you're just overthinking and I got to do this and I got to do this and I got to strategize in this and I got to do this and just breathe. Just take a deep breath, man, and calm your nerves. Do something. Go for a walk. Do some EFT tapping. I love me some EFT tapping. I love the rhythm of it. Say your affirmations. There's a really dope app that I got. I have to look up the name. I can't remember right now. Maybe Thinkify. It might be Thinkify, but such a dope app that you can say your own affirmations and it plays it with the music and you hear your voice telling you these affirmations. So how much more clear does that need to be to you that like you are embodying this? So now you just really need to like really soak it in and start believing it, not just hearing it. You need to believe it. And that's a lot of work that I'm doing this week, especially with my self-worth, with just feeling very confident in what I'm doing and just all the affirmations that I do for love and giving love, receiving love, all that kind of thing. And I'm really feeling it. Like I really feel it on a deep level. And it's because I'm doing that work. I am putting that time into myself. So yeah, one light, this is a great awakening or aha moment. So just figuring it out, man. Like boom, we got to do this. The thing is to surrender and you got to let it go, but then you got to get to the warrior. That is the samurai, the soldier, the advocate. We often envision the warrior as an armored figure with a sword in hand moving blindly toward battle. Yet the deeper aspects of this archetype bring us face to face with death itself. The warrior stands precariously at the edge of life and death, trusting the eternal guide to the sword's blade. The warrior's work requires presence, alignment, and purpose. If and when the warrior loses its center, meaningless confrontations and violence are their default response. When this card appears, it's important to question the battle at hand. It is likely a great one with deep roots and long-standing tensions. The actions you will take will stay with you long after dust settles. So choose wisely, guys. Brave one. As you draw your sword, realign with the eternal wisdom within. Time, then surrender to the battle. So I would say that was pretty accurate. I mean, I think my reading was a little bit different, but it all got to the same message essentially. But I really am happy with what cards came out because it was very in line with this session today with this podcast because I was feeling it, man. I was just feeling it so deeply. And I'm like, I need to get on and talk about this because I just feel like other people are feeling it and I need to talk about it and we need to connect. And if you have been feeling this way, you can leave a comment. We can start this beautiful support group. One thing I want with this page and with, you know, the content that I am putting out is just like, let's keep this a nurturing, loving space where we support each other, where we can grow, where we can really tap into our innate wisdom and really just lift each other up, because with support and with community, we can go really far. But if we're trying to do everything alone, and if we're not sharing, if we're not holding space for each other, we're really doing a disservice to ourselves and other people. So my whole mission in life is to bring people together, have people heal, and just be okay to share who you are, like share who you really are without any judgments, without people, family members, friends, family. I said family twice, but without anyone judging you, because that's where the issues start, is when we start worrying about how we appear and what are people going to think, and I can't do this. And even for me to be like, well, I can't move, you know, like my mom was telling me, you're crazy for moving because, you know, we have a house here, you need to live here with the family. And I'm like, it's not good for me to be with the family. Like, for me to be in my peace and for me to do my life's work, I have to be away, and that's just the way it is. And I'm I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. And I honor that. And, she can feel whatever type of way about it, but I think she even understands on some level that like I'm a better person because I don't have that pressure of the family. And honestly, I do good in my own space. And, in the future, I do want to move in with my significant other. That would be amazing. But for right now, I am liking this part of my life where I'm really, really, really getting back to myself. So that's what I want to teach other people to do too. Basically, tap into yourself, learn about yourself, grow while learning yourself so you can really expand into this next level version. But I don't know if I told you guys, I said about the event, but I don't know if I gave the details, but it's next Monday night, July 22nd. It's in Georgia, in Chamblee at my studio. I'm only going to have 12 people because I like to keep it comfortable and I want people to have space and I don't want to keep the container too big. I think 12 is a good size. We're going to have some kids there because even with kids, they need to open up and get their feelings out. And I want to hold space for that. I want to create this safe container for people to come and really share who they are and leave feeling like, oh my God, I'm not alone. And other people feel the same things. And this feels so good to get it out. And you feel that connection and we can like heal on some deep levels. And I think it's going to be powerful. I really am. And already, I think 4 or 5 tickets are gone. So how many does that leave? Like 6 or 7 are left. I did post it on my Instagram, and then I'm going to do an email blast to my subscribers. So you'll see something on there about it as well. It's only 33 bucks. I mean, what is that? That's like a dinner or 2 dinners or something. But like 33 bucks, you get a beautiful sound healing where your body just melts and you feel all the vibrations and it just totally connects you to your higher self. It's such a great, great experience to heal and just come back to yourself. And then we'll do like an open discussion, maybe some card readings, and just like keep it like very casual. At the end, I'm kind of feeling like it might be nice to like put on some music and dance it out because I think we'll be in all this healing and there might be tears and it might be good to kind of move and shake up that energy and just have a fun rest of the night. So maybe even karaoke, tapping into like our inner child and just having a good freaking time. And this is what I've been called to come back to Atlanta to do when I come back in a few days. So if you'll be there, I will be excited to see you. And otherwise, I will catch you guys on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.